Well, hello then. This is Auntie, and I am here to do a review on Iyanla Fix My Life, Season 6, Episode 2, Addicted to Fame. If this is your first time being here, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And to all of my new subscribers, thank you so much for joining the family. And to all of my nieces and my nephews, thank you so much for being here and for your continued support. We're going to go ahead and get right into this review of Iyanla Fix My Life. Um, as you all know, this week we agreed to buy Iyanla at another mansion. She is having a conversation with Mickey Wright, better known as Memphitz Jr. And the mother has written to Iyanla because she is afraid that she is going to lose her son. As you all know, Memphis was married to Toya, and he also was in a tumultuous relationship with K. Michelle. We have seen the highs and the lows of his life as he has been on different um, reality shows. And so now here we find him on another one. I would be suspicious about it, but because his mother wrote the letter, I'm going to try to give them the benefit of the doubt. But anyway, I digress. Memphis is, by his own admission, currently abusing some drugs. He says that he's done Molly, ecstasy, marijuana, cocaine, and the likes. And he is having a hard time dealing with the demise of his career, who he blames on his ex-girlfriend, K. Michelle. He really needs to take accountability for the things that has happened in his life, and this is why the mom has brought him there. She has also brought his cousin, and who was his assistant, and his sister there. I must say they're extremely handsome family. What we don't know about Memphis is that he lost his father to a murder. He was murdered by a member of the KKK, and he was dismembered and burned alive. I'm going to read you just a little bit of what I was able to find out. On Tuesday, July 5th, 2011, the U.S. Department of Justice announced that Dale Martis, 57, was sentenced today to life in prison with no possibility of parole for the racially motivated killing of Shelby County, Tennessee code enforcement officer Mickey Wright. Mickey went there to serve him a code violation. He was a gun dealer, and he also had a car shop, an automobile shop, and he went there to give him a code violation. And I guess at that point he killed him. It appears that in November of 2016, the family was still fighting to get restitution. During the settlement, they had agreed that the house would be given, that they would be given the house that he and his wife lived in. And the wife ended up filing bankruptcy, saying that if she moved out of the house, she would be homeless. So the family is still trying to fight for restitution. They said that it's hard. They wanted to pursue this civilly, but it was hard for them to pursue it civilly because he did a no contest. And so right now he is currently serving a lifetime sentence. It appears that Memphis and his sister and his mom have not gotten past the murder of their father, and I'm sure that that is very hard. And as a result of it, his drug use and the stuff that went on allegedly between he and K. Michelle has caused him a lot of pain. And his mom wants to get him back on the right track. Iyanla realizes and recognizes that there is going to have to be healing with his relationship with his father before he can be healed to do anything else, to move on to being rehabilitated and to get past the wanting to blame someone else for his problems. And so she takes him out into the backyard, and she has him dig these two holes in the ground, and then she tells him to step into it. And she said, you have to figure out that you've dug these two holes. You've dug these holes in your life and you find yourself in these holes. And now you have to find a way to get out of them without abusing drugs. In the meantime, we see Iyanla have a conversation with the mom and the sister and the cousin, and they talk about the father's death and how the mom did not even allow the children to come. Memphitz, I believe, was 19 years old when his father passed, and I lost my mom and my dad at 22. I lost my mom at age 22, my dad at age 23, and it is really hard to bounce back because you don't really at that age have the tools necessary to move on. Luckily for them, they still had their mom who did not want her children to experience that. And Iyanla told her that she thought that that was unfair because they absolutely needed closure um, in their life. And so we see the sister not still wanting to deal with it. And Iyanla tells her that she's still stuck in that same place that her brother is, and that she's not using drugs, but she's using emotions. Her lack of emotions, I guess, just not wanting to deal with it. And I know that it is really hard. It took me years to not grieve my parents. And I don't believe that anybody can tell you when you need to stop grieving. However, through that grieving process, you still need to continue to move on and live life. And you have to come to a place where you do realize that life is not forever. And I know that, it's one thing if a parent dies of a natural cause or something like that. It doesn't hurt any less. But I can't even imagine the pain that they felt knowing that their father was dismembered and burned up. The mother said that they never were even able to retrieve the ashes from that. And so as a result of that and him being on a high horse, hanging out with P. Diddy and the likes of them, and to have his whole career fail or crumble before his eyes because allegedly he had done some things to K. Michelle that he did not want to confess to, but I believe that later on he did. And so we see him in this state. One thing I can say about him, he is very respectful. So is his sister. So we see him, come up out of the hole and everything. And Iyanla talks to him about he has to move forward with his father. That is really the nucleus of his pain and his hurt. And he admits that that is it. We see him go upstairs with the sister. After the sister talks to Iyanla, she's in a crisis. And she just wants to leave. And Iyanla said that they're runners. And she asked Memphitz to comfort his sister. And, she asks him to comfort his sister, and he tries to do that. And she says that she can't let the sister go. She tells the mom, you have to let them know that it's okay for them to feel. The next morning, we see the mother and Iyanla having a woman's talk, and she's telling her that, you have to learn how to parent him from another position. Since he is now a grown man, you have to parent him as the wise woman, and not from the perspective as of a mother, disciplining him. And the mother gets it. It clicks for her. It doesn't really click for Memphitz. The next day we see her bring Memphitz into the room, and she unveils a wreath, a burial wreath with his father's pictures on it. And she tells him to talk to his father. I thought that was a bit much. I don't know if I could have been able to do that in the state in which I was in when I was a young child, 15, 20 years, 29 years later. It doesn't make a difference. You're opening up those wounds, and this was something that they never dealt with. And he attempts to talk to his dad. He attempts to be respectful and to do everything that she asked him to do, but I don't really see him really making a connection. She talks to the sister separate the day before, and she tells her that, she's got to learn how to be there for her brother. She's got to process through the hurt and give the hurt sound. One of the things that I that I'm starting to notice is that there's so much that goes on to the editor's floor that I think that we as the viewers could absolutely benefit from. I think it would benefit me to see more of the conversation so that I'm not left kind of wondering, guessing, and assuming what has happened. I assume that Iyanla had a detailed talk with the sister outside. I assume she had a detailed talk with Memphis. But at the end of the day, her goal was to get him into rehab. The mother asked her very pointedly at the table whether or not she thought that he needed rehab, and she said yes. And this was the mother's goal, was to try to get him help. They bring in a doctor who is representing a rehabilitation center, and she tells him that she's going to give him um, 30 days in-house treatment, and would he be willing to do it? And he says yes. And the mother says that she's proud of him. At the end of the day, he doesn't show up. And see, and I think that this is the thing that, with very good intentions, Iyanla is trying to do therapy in a very short period of time. Again, we are left as the viewers to assume that therapy happened. I'm assuming that they were there for 2 days. I don't know how much they break or what they do, but I really would like to see more depth in the therapy than what we're seeing. Memphis, to me, walked out of there the same way he came in. There was a realization, I think he did get out of it when they were talking and he was looking at the reef, is that he never really paid much attention to the point that he is a junior. He feels like he has failed his father, but he always has an opportunity to do it over again. Iyanla asked him what kind of grade would he give his life, and he said a B, and she said an F. And so she, just kind of gave him F words to kind of describe where his life was. And he said, yes, ma'am. He was very, very polite, but he wasn't present. And I think, she just goes through the process because this is what she has to do. I think that she puts her best foot forward, and she had very, very good intentions. But I think that for him, he was trying to, once again, protect his image. He came, he saw, and he left. And he left without getting the tools that he needed in order to function. And the sister was very quiet as well, and so was the mother. Um, I don't know. This has been challenging. Last week with Kamaya, and then this week with Memphis. And these high profile figures that Iyanla is interviewing with, I found them very interesting. Let me just say that. Um, I am wishing her the best of luck in getting all of this done, but I just thought that it didn't go anywhere. I think that it gave us more information about who he was and what he did and what he'd been through in his life, but I did not see any healing take place in this. You know what? If you disagree, put it down at the bottom. I think she's a fantastic woman, and I think that she does a great work. And so I don't want to take that away from her. She is a pillar in our community and a wonderful activist for healing and deliverance. And I am hoping that in the episodes to come that we will begin to see families shift from one place to another. But I think that with Memphis, even when they asked him, did he believe that he was an addict, and they were like talking about the rehab, his eyes was looking like, you ain't taking my marijuana from me. He mentioned that he said that he couldn't live without smoking marijuana, but he said that, that was just a figure of speech and he can absolutely do it. But I wonder why he didn't show up. I think that he's not ready to address those issues. And I think that when people show up, one of the things that I will agree with a lot of you all have said in the comment section, is that when these people show up, they got to be willing to do the work. You know, a therapist can only go but so far. They can only do but so much. You have to be willing to put in the work. And I think that when you have a therapist for a long term, maybe 6 weeks, in your private life, you get that opportunity. But sitting here and watching what is going on, 2 days is not enough to deal with these hard issues that Iyanla needs to deal with. But I mean, it is what it is. Tomorrow I will be putting up my video of the brothers. Oh my God, like that one is deep. I pray that Memphitz and his family and his mom gets all the restitution that they deserve for such a heinous crime from a heinous human being. It's hard to believe that someone would dismember and burn someone up all because they were given a code violation. I mean, that's just purity hatred. And I pray that their family receives the healing that they both need and deserve. Thank you so much for being here. Love you. Have a great one.